Hi, everybody. This is day 1266, and we have breaking news today. What we've been working on behind the scenes, uh, so much, so much. So I'm going to wait and see if I'm on before I announce the breaking news. Every day is breaking news, every day, because I have so much to tell you. So let's see. There it is. Every day, because I have so much to tell you. And I have to tell this to all the people in El Paso, especially. So we have breaking news today, Team Fun Richard Halliday. I'm going to wait a few seconds for everyone to come on. Yesterday we talked about FBI agent there in El Paso whose duty is to identify crime, identify criminals, document crime and criminals, and give that over to the DA's office, work with them to have them prosecuted, right? I mean, that's their job. And so today, I just, we've been working behind the scenes. We've said in the last weeks that there is some uh, anomalies, some irregularities with the medical examiner of El Paso medical examiner, Dr. Mario I think it's for Alberto Rascon Ortiz. And how that name came to be involved in Richard's case is, and it's so from God that this is all coming together right now again, um, because there's so much to tell you, so much to go through. But how that name came to be is there were 3 autopsy reports that had Richard's name on it that were given to us, and it had Dr. Ortiz's a name on it, and this information that was given to us. And we're like, okay, we don't know if this can be confirmed or not. Let's ask, can this be confirmed? We sent that to Judge Robert Shook, asking him about the unlawful search of our home, which that I can address that too. That's also in this 700 and whatever. There's a lot of empty pages and redactions. So, but we can see through the redactions, which is amazing. Because of being on this case for so long, we understand what's going on. It's just really, really amazing. Really a gift from God that we could understand a redacted document that's so important in Richard's case, and whether it holds any water or not, right? But I lost my train of thought. I know I'm on Roscoe Ortiz, and we asked Judge Robert Shook, um, you know, about certain things that were going on in Richard's case and with our case, and there was no response. There was no response. That's abnormal. And then he gets up and moves. Just like so many people are retiring and getting up and moving, um, which is a good thing. It really is a good thing. But they need to be held accountable anyway, also. And that is not professional. That's not his job. He absolutely needed to respond to, and anybody that has been watching this case, including CID and the command, should get it answered for us if these autopsy reports can be denied or confirmed. And we have not. We've been waiting a long time, and there's no mention of them so far in our readings in the over 700 pages. So, why is, so we looked into this Dr. Mario A. Rascon Ortiz, right? We looked into him, and slowly but surely information has been coming out. And with this report highlighting that the two documents coming are from the medical examiner and from ATF report and the medical examiner. Okay, so in Richard's case, that's the medical examiner and ATF. That's very, very interesting, because that definitely is what is necessary to show up for our results from our investigation that Richard is murdered, and weapons are involved. So that would mean the medical examiner and ATF. So we have breaking news today, and that is that Team Find Richard Halliday has received information that Dr. Mario Rascon Ortiz, the medical examiner that makes, way over $400,000 a year, was in charge of the August 3rd, 2019 mass shooting remains. Absolutely. And yeah, that just makes me have shivers everywhere. And also is connected to Bliss Avenue, which intertwines the August 3rd, 2019 El Paso mass shooting with Richard Halliday's missing and murder case. Yes, this is the same Mario Rascon Ortiz, and the information that we have received is that apparently there's confirmation that he is not an American citizen. That the medical examiner apparently is not an American citizen. And there's more. There's more about, so there needs to be an investigation into, or someone to explain to us why we have gotten this confirmation that he is not an American citizen. And this is, troubling to us. I don't know if it is required that medical examiners are American citizens. It seems to be that they would have to be American citizens. So maybe someone out there can explain the law to us in Texas, because from what we know about a medical examiner is that you can put them in the same category as a judge. And I think judges absolutely have to be American citizens. That just makes sense. And why is a medical examiner like a judge? Well, they're supposed to be impartial judgment of how a person passed away, right? And also, they can issue warrants and they can issue subpoenas. So they have that kind of power, like a judge. and so they're categorized like a judge. And so I'm just astonished that we have gotten this confirmation, and there's more to it too, that I'm not at liberty to say at this time. But I am, uh, and we just want to let everyone know in El Paso that there's a question that needs to be looked into, and that is, can a medical examiner um, that handles such sensitive information, such sensitive medical information, such sensitive medical files, and handles deceased um, individuals, um, uh, do they have to be an American citizen? Does a medical examiner, especially the chief medical examiner, do they have to be an American citizen? And that I'd like to know that, because you know I think it's an issue of national security. Because if you are a medical examiner and you are not loyal to America, to the United States of America, you can you can tamper with the cause of death. And I believe it was Dr. Mario Rascon Ortiz, and he can tell me otherwise, that had to determine, and we don't know to this day, but I think it's a gunshot. Um, I just have this, you know, fine, I might be wrong. You know, with Glendon Oakley Jr., right? With Glendon Oakley Jr. So, and I also believe that Richard was murdered and dismembered, and, with his connection to Bliss Avenue and 3905 and 3705 Bliss Avenue, that we have information that it was bought by William Beaumont Army Medical Center to be an annex for mortuary affairs, for overflow mortuary affairs. We know that for a fact they took $100,000 to renovate the shed in the back. Um, this is really concerning. It's on life. These are on life leases also, and we believe that there's a lot of criminal activity and a lot of people related to these addresses. And so, for him now to be, we're being told that it is confirmed, but I'm putting it out there to let him know, to let the El Pasoans know that there may be a real huge problem even in the August 3rd, 2019 mass shooting Walmart case, right? Which, if there is some problem with the medical examiner who handled those deceased individuals, uh, you know, this needs to go to Joe Spencer. This needs to go to John Briggs, right? Attorney John Briggs, who is overseeing this botched case, and Joe Spencer, who I believe should absolutely hand over the case to the federal jurisdiction, which already has tried this case, and they could end it right away. But now it's going to, it's just a mess. And of course, it's intertwined with Richard's case, so that's a mess. And we have another dead soldier because of all of it, and that is Glendon Oakley Jr. And so I don't know what Major General Eisenhower is going to do about all of this, because our generals just seem to be serving a foreign and domestic enemy instead of doing their duty and protecting the Constitution, the land, and the people, and upholding their obligation to care for our soldiers, for our service members. So that has, been very, very clear that that we can't even trust our generals to look after, to even honor their obligation to care for our soldiers. We can't. It's just doesn't look like that, because here we have a soldier that was a hero, and they couldn't even protect him, Glendon Oakley Jr. And this, 23 people dead, and now him, that's 24, and then Richard, that's 25, because Richard's case is intertwined with the same people that organized, that planned out the August 3rd, 2019 mass shooting. It wasn't a lone wolf, y'all. It was absolutely no way. They think we're stupid. They think we're stupid, that we aren't going to pay attention, and that an autistic young man can pull that off, and that, within a day, they're all like, oh, this is lone wolf, this is lone wolf, and we just fall for it, that they just feed us this narrative that is so ridiculous when you have so many witnesses that witnessed other things in reality that doesn't match their narrative. So, yeah. Oh, thank you for coming on. Hi, Mama Halliday. Thank you so much. Good evening. Thank you for coming on and listening to this, because I want El Pasoans to know that we have confirmation. Seems like it. Apparently, that the medical examiner, the chief medical examiner, Dr. Mario A. Rascon Ortiz, is not an American citizen. Is not an American citizen. This is going to, I don't know. I need someone that knows the law to say if that's a problem or not. But for me, for someone that's handling our service members, that's handling our citizens, that's handling foreign. I mean, I don't know how that all, because I know that there were Mexican nationals that were killed, and how is that all handled? And it just needs to be scrutinized. So the other big news that we have is we're putting in a criminal complaint about FBI Jesus Nieto Jr., who has been there in El Paso since 2002. That is absolutely ridiculous. That tenure, he has gotten too cozy, and we believe that he was in the military. Okay, that he was in the military, that he even lived on Fort Bliss, and then he has been there with the FBI since 2002. So was he with the CID before 2002? So he's been there in El Paso, cozying up, getting compromised, because we really have proof that he is compromised, and he has a huge. Why is he compromised? Because he has a conflict of interest, and that conflict of interest is with Angela Kucherga. Okay, and so it's very shocking, and we are submitting that complaint about FBI Nieto. But that makes sense why we have a key witness that witnesses the leaking and the false complaint. And why hasn't Leilani Hart been arrested? Right? Why hasn't she been arrested? She absolutely needs to be arrested. And this explains why, when there is a compromise in the FBI. And Yeah, we know that in DC there's a compromise, and now we know that in El Paso, and I think El Pasoans need to understand that. As far as, I mean, there's so much information. As far as the John Briggs timeline goes, I need to put that up. I haven't put it up. But the continuation of the timeline, because he is in charge under, he's the assistant attorney general, no, assistant district attorney. And he was the assistant district attorney under DA Jaime Esparza, who was in power when the August 3rd, 2019 mass shooting occurred. And John Briggs was also the assistant district attorney under Yvonne Rosales until she fired him in 2022, August 22nd, 2022. And on August 25th, or 24th, 2022, then El Paso Matters, Bob Moore, Angela Kachurga, um, Kathleen Gannon, that group, but essentially El Paso Matters, um, filed a petition to get rid of Yvonne Rosales. Okay. And, so that was absolutely a retaliation against Yvonne firing, in my opinion, firing John Briggs. And when they had taken her down, I mean, it was vicious. It was so vicious. And they brought in Bill Hicks, which has a questionable um, oath of office. Uh, it looks like it as far as Reyes Mata goes, that Bill Hicks tampered with the timestamps on his ethics agreement uh, that he's supposed to sign before he takes an oath of office. Um, but, people can explain that to me, but that's how I understand it. So he might not even be a legitimate DA at this moment because of that mess. And that's a criminal offense. So if that is indeed what happened, then, you know, he needs to be held accountable for that mess. So, but John Briggs, when Bill Hicks came into office, John Briggs was made again the assistant DA and in charge of all murder cases. So he's in charge of all murder cases, and Dr. Mario Rascon Ortiz is the chief medical examiner. And it seems that there is a conflict of interest that has compromised FBI agent Jesus Nieto. And of course, we know that the media is also compromised and violating, El Paso Matters is violating their 501c3 and being investigated right now. Um, then, of course, we have, he's being investigated too, Marlon Soto, the CID agent in charge at Fort Bliss. He's being investigated. We got word on that. And then we have former CID agent. Well, Marlon Soto is totally dirty, y'all. He's so dirty. And if he worked with Nieto and then it chummied up with a dirty agent, if Neto chummed up with a dirty agent, yeah, you understand there's trouble there. And Tavita Nusa is a former CID agent because he, we have a key witness that is an officer of the court. And the weird thing is this is not in the 700 pages, y'all. I have not found our key witness in the 700 pages. And we even had a phone call, a conference call with the key witness with CID, with multiple people in the CID there in Quantico. And yet, so far, unless I'm missing it, I don't see his name. And in the archives, he has been cleansed from the archives too, because he brings in the Lonnie Hart to Richard's case, unauthorized access to Richard's file being leaked by Tavita Nusa, and Leilani Hart submitting a notarized criminal affidavit with the help of Tavita Nusa to get into the CID system, to get a case number, and then to be referred to the FBI. That would be Nieto, right? And to get a FBI case number, okay, for it to be accepted as a case. And it was, and it got a number. And so that got floated around, and we thank you, Team Find Richard Halliday. We received that number, and we have it. So this is obstruction of justice in our son's case. This has led to being targeted for harassment, targeted for intimidation, targeted for threats. What Neto has done, what Jessica Veltri has done, because you understand that if they investigated that right away, if they would have arrested Leilani Hart right away and got to the bottom of this, our son's case would be solved, because Leilani Hart is the mother of Dallas Hart, Richard's platoon leader, who we have early on have been told that he was up to no good, that he was Richard's platoon leader, that he was homosexual, and why is that important? That's important because that is what Leilani Hart claims about her son, okay? She is the one that calls out the incest. She is the one that calls out that her friend's son, a 7-year-old, was sexually assaulted in her master bedroom by multiple people of her household. So she is calling out this incestual relationship with the men of her family. And then we have outside corroborating testimony on record that, and we didn't even know who he was. We didn't even know any of this at the time, and we didn't mention it. But our corroborating witness said that Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader, and oh yeah, he's gay. He's a gay platoon leader. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, whatever. But what was important for us is that he was Richard's platoon leader, and then she also discussed that he would borrow others' computers to do work. And so that is, exactly what Leilani Hart has confessed to in her criminal complaints and her documents and that. So, this with the theft of identity, this is a very big deal, y'all. Using multiple identities, stealing other people's identities and social security numbers. This is all over this case. There, every suspect has this trail of multiple identities and stealing other people's social security numbers and, to get houses, to get cars, to get, and it is just all over the place. And so Leilani Hart, we have confirmation that she has used multiple people that are still alive, using their identity and social security number. So, and this is really important because we believe, because not that we believe, but we have it confirmed. It was brought to our attention. We looked into it. And now with Glendon Oakley Jr., we also confirmed that his identity has been stolen, that his social security has been used. And the same thing with Richard. Richard's has been used in New Mexico, and other places. And when did Richard's identity get stolen? And we have information that it was before he went missing. This was could have been part of the harassment, the intimidation that they were using against him. This continuous retaliation that was so severe, and it was so severe that even the military in their archives had to cleanse it. And we have evidence of all of that. So for months and months, and it's because of these live streams, because everybody knows that for months we were asking for and had a petition out to rescind Richard's field grade Article 15 that had maximum punishment and then some, and then added punishment even after the maximum allowed punishment. And now it's not even part of his archive. They just cleansed it. They just cleansed it off. And so, and that was done by Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roddick. Okay. And so we have gotten several reports on Michael Roddick. He's up to no good. He was up to no good. And, even Colonel Dauber, up to no good. It seems like the whole chain of command was up to no good. And what do I mean by that? I mean that Thomas Kane, who director of emergency services at the time, in charge of all the CCTV footage cameras, the exits and entrances onto Fort Bliss, confirmed to us in a letter that there was a security problem, that there was security breaches, that there was a security problem in JAG, that, we also have the audio of him, saying that Richard was just a good meal for the coyotes. And yeah, that's, try to sleep with that when you're the mother. It's terrible. And then also, that if there was an investigation on Fort Bliss, that many, many people would have to go to jail. Yes, because the security breach is so bad. And so, of course, we have evidence of that on Fort Bliss, numerous witnesses, that there is a narcotics problem, narcotics trafficking, that there is weapons smuggling. And there's so much weapons smuggling, y'all. Big tactical move storage units. It's not just, you remember that when that one rifle, I can't remember what the type of rifle it was. Was it an M4? Maybe it was an M4 that fell off the back of the truck and was laying in the middle of Fort Bliss. That was just recently. There is a weapon smuggling problem. There is an ammunition smuggling problem. There's even smuggling of like grenades. There is so many problems that are allowed to happen. This is allowed to happen. Do not think for a moment that our leadership could not stop that. They could stop it on a dime. On a dime. Just think that's the one thing that this whole COVID mandates um, exhibited for everyone, right? It revealed it to everyone that if the leadership wanted to force their hand to do well in this with the COVID mandates, they chose crimes against humanity. That's what they did. They actually committed crimes against humanity. I mean, I think the whole military needs to be shut down. I really do. I do not think at this point in this situation, I really don't. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not think they're keeping us safe. I really don't. I do not think that they are protecting our homeland, our people. I really don't. Because look at what happened to Glendon Oakley Jr. Look at what happened to Richard. Look at what happened to Vanessa Guillen. Look at what is happening to our country. Okay? Look at the amount of money that is being washed, laundered through all of this. We are $36 trillion in debt. That is a clear evidence that we have a failed military. Okay? That we have a failed military. And look, this is coming from someone that has been Go Army all my life, born at White Sands, father, 23-year veteran, my husband, over 30-year veteran, Richard joining, and we did not want him to join. One of the things that was in this 700 pages is someone saying that, Richard was like, oh, I was pressured to join the military. That is the biggest fabrication of information. And that's what they chose to put in this thing. But they leave out the key witness that says Tavita Nusa is having an affair with Leilani Hart. And Leilani Hart is the mother of Dallas Hart, Richard's platoon leader, and she has unauthorized access in the CID to files, and she got Richard's file leaked to her, and they are tampering with the video, tampering with his file, disseminating his file to others. That is left out. That is left out, and yet this garbage is put. This, the 700 pages, you can't really get mad at it because it is our exhibit of the tampering and the botching of the investigation into our son's forced disappearance and murder. It is a huge piece of evidence. And so we'll be really putting out those bullet lists with all the information on there. But, Thomas Kane plays a huge role. And it is an irregular, huge role. Why? Because of the Park University connection with Richard. And was Richard reporting to him about what he saw in the CID when he was a CID intern? Was he reporting on the CID, on Marlon Soto, on Tavita Nusa? Was he meeting with FBI agent Jesus Nieto, reporting to him what the problems were in the CID and on Fort Bliss, what he was seeing, and he wanted to say something. If you see something, say something. And he was then taken out first by intimidation, retaliation, harassment, and then finally, a bullet or, a knife to dismember him? I mean, is this is the most likely uh, situation with all the information that we have. So Thomas Kane plays a huge role, and I want to thank this botched case report for giving us a lot of nuggets, golden nuggets, on who was really involved in all of this. So we'll be bringing that out. But our breaking news today that came back, um, seemingly it's confirmed that Mario Raskin Ortiz, the doctor, the medical, the lead, the chief medical examiner for El Paso, is not an American citizen. Now, I always, I've learned that, judges have to be American citizens. Um, I don't know. And of course, a medical examiner, because they can issue subpoenas and warrants, and they have to make so many these determinations about life. They are likened to a judge. So that is a really huge breaking news. And then, if that's not enough, because you know what that means, if there's some real foul play there, um, that means that the whole Patrick Crucius case is botched, because that medical examiner was in charge of all of those bodies, those deceased individuals, their remains. And if there's no trust there, and the mortuary affairs, the medical examination of these deceased bodies, mortuary affairs, I think that's military. But I think that they used that. They used that because there were so many. Um, but other people would know better than me. But I'm telling you, uh, there is a real possibility that this whole thing can be totally botched. And you're talking about after millions of dollars, and all kinds of staff and workers and everything. Where are they? What is going on? I mean, we're doing this on a dime compared to the millions of dollars that they have. And we're forced to be the investigators in our son's case and more. And yet they didn't check on the credentials of a medical examiner in a case such as a mass shooting case. That is crazy. So, and, he would be the one that would have to determine the cause of death for Richard, and for Glendon Oakley Jr., since he was found April 8th, 2020, in his barracks room dead. Dead. 23 years old. Whistleblower. Not even a whistleblower. He didn't even really, he just was a witness to gunshots and mall cops having M4s running around the mall during the mass shooting. And he was subjected to so much harassment and a smear campaign. A smear campaign, y'all. The same MO what they did to Richard, they did what they did to Glendon Oakley Jr., they did to Richard. The same MO. Yeah, so that you and me and everyone else wouldn't care about these young men. He was a hero. But they want to bring up any little thing. Any little thing. Their judgment is so bad. Is so bad. and they report it as a smear campaign so that people won't care about the life of these young men and women. Because if they tried that with Vanessa Guillen, they tried it with Asia Graham and with Lavina Johnson and more. It's the same MO to get us not to care. And the sad thing is a lot of times it works. And that's why um, we're Team Find Richard Halliday. We're going to be vocal about this um, for people to wake up and not, this is not in a judgmental way or anything like that. It's just, y'all, they have been hoodwinking us. And while they're hoodwinking us, they're destroying the country. They're destroying our young people. And 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 they're stealing identities, which I think is they're stealing the character of the person, with their smearing, the memory of that person. They're giving a false memory of that person. I think that is the most horrible, like rewriting history or something. It is so horrible what they're doing. And they're using a medical examiner that is not even an American citizen. And then now we find out that Nieto, the FBI agent, Jesus Nieto, is compromised because he has a conflict of interest with Angela Kachurga, who that brings it right back to our son's case because she obstructed justice in our son's case. She with intentional malice, attacked a key witness in our son's case to harass them, to do that MO, to do a smear tactic with an unreliable source, a convicted criminal, Leilani Hart, who is everything that they try to project on everybody else. She is a convicted criminal. She is the harasser. She is the assaulter. She is the, you know, waiting to, letting her friend's son be sexually assaulted in her master bedroom and then not reporting on it. She's the one that knows that her son, Dallas Hart, as soon as he came back from his deployment, rushed over to her house to look for the child porn because all this was, shining a light on them and he didn't want anyone to find the child porn. She's the one that puts in a criminal complaint affidavit and notarizes it so that she can, squeeze every dime out of her husband. And, and it is just loaded with felony crimes, with incest, with purchasing weapons that are, illegally, with the sexual assault of her friend, with threatening her with a weapon, with child pornography, which is child torture, and on and on and on and on. And then to get CID to do it, why didn't she go to El Paso Police Department? Did she not have someone there? No, she was having an affair with the CID agent. That's another thing. And Nieto did not investigate that. He did not take action on that. And Nieto didn't take action on Nadal Beim, who is a FBI agent, right? An FBI agent that, announced that the FBI had found Richard's remains in Mexico. Shh, shh, it's a secret. So, yeah, it's, why didn't Nieto not do that? Right? And so far, I haven't read that in the 700 pages either. No mention of Nadal Beim, the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado in the G3 of the 32nd ATCOM, which is Richard's command. So there is a compromised conflict of interest with the media, um, with FBI, with the CID, um, and it is connected. They are connected to Bliss Avenue that intertwines the mass shooting of August 3rd, which is Dallas Hart's birthday in 2019, with Richard's case, his missing and murder case. And Thomas Kane's name is all over it. It's a big deal. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on. So, thank you so much. Please share all that information. It is what keeps us safe. It is what will drive the institution. Because, I was talking to a good friend and they were like, but, Christopher Wray's not going to do anything. Merrick Garland's not going to do anything. They're compromised. They're not going to do anything. They're not going I said, um, Team Find Richard Halliday, the more that we share, the more that we get out, he will be driven to do the right thing, or he himself will be investigated, right? It's the same thing with the general. Um, they have to be driven, and we can't wait until a new person gets in, right? We have to work with what we have. And what we have, unfortunately, is compromised leadership that have conflicts of interest. That's just what we have. And so we have to drive them to do the right thing, to make not getting us justice more harmful than what would happen to them with their conflict of interest, right? This is the battle that we're in for justice, is to uh, put a lot of weight behind the lives of our service members, so much so that they are going to be driven to give us justice. Because where is Veronica Escobar in all of this, right? Where is so many people in all of this that have to be driven? So, whatever uh, whatever it takes to get through the system and drive them to do the right thing, whatever, how many complaints, how many open records requests that it takes, that's what we're doing. Because the alternative is not an option, right? And that is to let their violence continue. And that's not an option. To let their theft continue. And that's not an option. To let their misuse, their fraud, waste, and abuse of our service members continue. And that's not an option. So thank you so much, everybody. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye bye.